Ethan Hayes was just another corporate cog, the kind of guy who'd mentally roast his Ice Queen CEO, Catherine Pierce, during mandatory meetings. She was cold, calculating, and everyone was terrified of her. Then one day, the unthinkable happened. Catherine started hearing Ethan's thoughts. Every snarky comment, every ridiculous observation, it all played out in her head, crystal clear. And for a woman whose composure was legendary, it was starting to make her unravel. Stranger still, she discovered that while Ethan was a professional slacker, his inner monologue was a goldmine of uncanny insights, effortlessly spotting business traps no one else saw. So she did the only logical thing. She promoted the nobody from the back of the room to be her new special assistant. Suddenly, Ethan's internal chaos became Catherine's private broadcast, and the story of the slacker and the CEO began, one silent roast at a time. The air in the boardroom seemed to freeze. Catherine Pierce's voice cut through the room like a scalpel, cold, sharp, and devoid of emotion. Outside, the Seattle skyline bustled with life, but inside it felt colder than a polar vortex. The product manager, whose name had been called, a man in his late 30s, felt a bead of sweat drip down his temple, landing on the report in front of him, blurring the ink. He stood shakily, facing the queen-like figure at the head of the long conference table, feeling like he was about to be publicly executed. Catherine Pierce, the founder and CEO of the Solstice Group, was famously known in the business world as the Ice Queen. At just 27, she possessed business acumen and a ruthless focus that veterans twice her age envied. She never smiled. She never wasted a word. Her life, much like the Pac Philippe on her wrist, was precise, expensive, and cold. "My time is built by the second," was her one and only catchphrase. Ethan, tucked away in the most inconspicuous corner of the room, kept his head down, pretending to be engrossed in doodling stick figures in his notebook. As a low-level grunt in the marketing department, his only purpose at these high-level quarterly reviews was to be part of the scenery. "Here we go again," Ethan thought, adding a tiny sword to his stick figure. Catherine's favorite show. Let's make an example of the weakest link. Poor Mark. She'd shot down his proposal 8 times last quarter. This time she might just vaporize him on the spot. Seriously, though, does this woman even have a soul? She walks around with a permanent scowl like everyone owes her $1 million. No wonder she's single. What man could handle that kind of Arctic blast? Her ideal boyfriend would probably be a mannequin, emotionally stable and immune to frostbite. And this coffee tastes like battery acid. I swear the facilities department must buy it from a surplus chemical warehouse. I need to file an anonymous complaint. Ethan's inner world was a sprawling multi-season drama. On the surface, however, he was the picture of a quiet, diligent, almost bland employee. Just then, as Catherine, seated at the head of the table, prepared to deliver the final verdict on Mark's career, a sudden wave of dizziness hit her. She instinctively raised a hand to her temple, her fingertips cool against her skin. "The third point of your proposal regarding market penetration," she began, her voice as steady as ever, "is fundamentally flawed." But only she knew that her mind was now filled with a voice that wasn't hers. It was a lazy, sarcastic draw, as clear as if someone had turned on a speaker inside her skull. And there it is. The classic Catherine Pierce combo: invalidate, denigrate, and obliterate. "Hang in there, Mark, my man." Catherine's pupils contracted almost imperceptibly. Auditory hallucinations. Was the pressure finally getting to her? She subtly scanned the room. Everyone was rigid, holding their breath except for the guy in the corner, Ethan, whose head was buried so low his shoulders were shaking slightly, as if he were trying to suppress a laugh. Her gaze lingered on him. "Oh man, gotta hold it together. If the Ice Queen sees me laughing, this month's bonus is toast. Be professional, Ethan. You are a professional." The voice. It was back, and it seemed perfectly in sync with Ethan's movements. A thought so absurd, it felt like a lightning strike hit the fortress of her logic. She picked up her coffee, her expression a perfect mask of indifference, and took a sip. Whoa. She drank it. She actually drank the sludge that tastes like burnt dirt. What a badass. She's so committed to the bit, she's willing to sacrifice her own taste buds. I'm not even mad. That's amazing. Catherine couldn't stop it. The coffee she just sipped sprayed from her mouth. She managed to turn her head just in time to avoid ruining a $10,000 quarterly report with the burnt sludge. The boardroom fell into a deathly silence. Every executive stared wide-eyed as if they'd just witnessed the moon turn to cheese. The eternally graceful, unflappable, and meticulous Catherine Pierce had lost her composure. Catherine calmly dabbed her mouth with a napkin. Her stunning face was a placid sea, but the tips of her ears were a telltale shade of crimson. Her mind was weathering a Category 5 hurricane. She could hear Ethan Hayes' thoughts. The revelation was more shocking than if someone had told her the company was filing for bankruptcy tomorrow. Today's meeting, Catherine took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay calm, is adjourned. She stood, the click of her heels on the marble floor sounding like a drumbeat of doom. Ethan Hayes, she said his name, her voice clear, devoid of any emotion. Ethan jolted, looking up with an expression of pure, unadulterated bewilderment. Holy crap, why is she calling my name? Did she see the doodles? No way. She couldn't see them from this angle. Oh man, there goes my bonus. It was nice knowing you, sweet Cash. Catherine watched his "Who am I? Where am I?" expression, listening to the apocalyptic meltdown happening in his head, and was overcome by a surreal, almost comical feeling. In a monotone voice, she uttered a sentence that sent seismic shockwaves through the entire executive team. Starting tomorrow, you're my new special assistant. Huh? Ethan was dumbfounded. The entire boardroom was dumbfounded. Special assistant? Me? The guy making $60,000 a year whose main life goal is to see the company go under so I can cash out my 401k. This woman is definitely broken. Unless a ridiculous pink bubbly thought popped into Ethan's head. She's into me. Catherine turned without another word, her heels clicking in elegant staccato rhythm as she walked out of the room. Her posture was still regal, her stride confident and strong. But if anyone had looked closely, they would have seen her hand clenched into a tight fist, her knuckles white from the strain. The Solstice Group's internal Slack channels exploded. Water cooler user at anonymous Arvar. Breaking news. The Ice Queen, Catherine Pierce, just promoted a total nobody from marketing to be her special assistant in the middle of the quarterly review. User at Gossip Giraffe. For real? Who is he? Hot user at anonymous Arvar. Is that guy Ethan Hayes? And yeah, he's pretty cute, but he's usually so quiet you forget he exists. Like human wallpaper. User at Cubicle Wizard 1. His proposal last month got shot down for being too zen. How did he just leapfrog everyone? Does he have some kind of secret connection? User at Gossip Giraffe. Connection? I doubt it. I heard the way Catherine was looking at him was intense. User at Cubicle Wizard. Spill. We need details. The flames of gossip burned bright. Meanwhile, at the center of the storm, Ethan Hayes sat numbly at his desk, enduring a barrage of stares that were a toxic cocktail of envy, suspicion, and morbid curiosity. He felt like a new exhibit at the zoo, the kind of monkey that had just learned a weird new trick. Dude, what the hell? His deskmate Leo, a round-faced guy with a mischievous grin, nudged him with an elbow. Did you win the lottery, or did you secretly bribe the big boss? Ethan's eyes were glazed over. I'd love to bribe her, but I don't even know what zip code she lives in. Then it must be your rugged good looks that melted the Ice Queen's heart. Get real, Ethan said, waving his hand weakly. With my track record, I'm lucky she hasn't fired me. He said it out loud, but his mind was a frantic mess. This is wrong. This is all kinds of wrong. I'm just a regular guy. No trust fund, no connections. My performance is aggressively average. Why would she promote me? Special assistant. That's the kind of job where you're with her 24/7, going to fancy dinners, handling top-secret files. The salary, holy crap! HR just sent the Workday notification. $150,000. Ethan stared at the email on his phone, his eyes nearly bugging out of his head. That's more than double what he was making now. This isn't a golden opportunity. It's a trap. Something this weird has to have a catch. What does she want from me? My looks? No way. The line of guys trying to date her would stretch from Seattle to San Francisco. My talent, please. My only real talent is finding new ways to slack off, unless... The same terrifying thought replayed in his mind. She's not actually trying to make a move on me, is she? Oh God. The powerful CEO falls for the quirky office nobody. That's the cheesiest Hallmark movie plot ever. But if it was Catherine Pierce, it wouldn't be the worst thing. She looks like a supermodel. Amazing body. A little cold maybe, but with the lights off, who cares? Hi. In her office, Catherine sat behind her massive desk, eyes closed, trying to process this bizarre new reality. She could clearly hear Ethan's voice from dozens of yards away in the marketing department, brainstorming ideas one after another. It had taken him less than 30 seconds to go from she wants to make a move on me to I wonder what preschool our kids will go to. A vein throbbed in Catherine's temple. At 27, she'd never been this utterly speechless. Why had she promoted him? The reason was simple. Earlier in the meeting, after she'd dismissed the hapless Mark, the next person to present was Susan Miller, the director of marketing. A polished and formidable woman, Susan's proposal was, by all accounts, perfect. The data was solid, the logic impeccable. All the other executives were nodding in approval. Catherine had been about to approve it too, and then she heard Ethan's voice. This proposal looks good on paper, but it's a total landmine. The Westlake Urban Core consumer report she's citing is from last quarter. The new one just came out, and since Amazon moved that campus, the potential has dropped by 30%. She's using old data to sell a fantasy and shift the risk of this new product line onto the company. And their proposed partner, Apex Holdings, sounds impressive, but their founder's idiot son has been bleeding the company dry for years. It's just an empty shell propped up by bank loans. Partnering with them now would be like paying to get mugged. This woman is a shark. Catherine had been stunned. She immediately paused the meeting and had her secretary verify those 2 points. 5 minutes later, the results were in. Ethan was right. Word for word. If she hadn't heard his thoughts, the company would have walked straight into a multi-million-dollar disaster. The realization made her heart skip a beat. Ethan Hayes. This seemingly ordinary employee possessed such sharp business insight. No, this wasn't just insight. This was practically a superpower. Who was he? A corporate spy? A plant from a rival company? She dismissed those theories instantly because she'd heard his follow-up thought just as clearly. Man, I can't decide if I want cheesecake or a cronut for my afternoon snack. This is tough. Would a corporate spy with the fate of the company in his hands be agonizing over pastries? No, there was only one explanation. Ethan Hayes was a genuinely lazy, surprisingly well-informed, internally sarcastic genius. Catherine didn't know how to classify him, but she knew one thing for sure. She had to keep this man by her side. His internal monologue was a living, breathing expletive detector. As for all the other garbage rattling around in his head, Catherine opened her eyes, her expression like ice. She'd just have to treat it as a free comedy podcast. Knock, knock, knock. Come in. Ethan walked in, his heart pounding against his ribs. This was the first time he'd ever been alone with the legendary Ice Queen. Ms. Pierce, you wanted to see me? He was so nervous. His palms were sweating. Damn, she's even more beautiful up close. That skin, that nose, those lips. But her eyes, they're terrifying. Like staring into the freezer section. Is she really going to confess her feelings for me? What do I say? If I agree too quickly, I'll look desperate. Maybe I should play it cool. Tell her. Let's start as friends and see where it goes. Catherine stared at him. Her face was a blank canvas while a tidal wave of absurdity crashed through her mind. She fought the urge to throw a stapler at his head, instead pulling a folder from her drawer and sliding it across the desk. This is your new contract and a non-disclosure agreement, she said, her voice flat. Sign them. From now on, you're my special assistant. You have one job. Stay by my side at all times. Do what I say when I say it. Don't ask questions. Don't talk out of turn. Ethan numbly picked up the contract. The number in the salary line, a glaring $150,000, made him swallow hard. Holy crap, it's real. She's serious. Stay by my side at all times? What kind of line is that? Is she trying to keep me as her boy toy? I, Ethan Hayes, a man of dignity and pride, could totally be down for that. Catherine's nails were digging into her palms. She was afraid if she listened any longer, she might actually throw him out the 33rd floor window. Are you signing or not? She asked coldly, her voice an ultimatum. Signing? Definitely signing. Ethan snatched a pen and scrawled his name, terrified she might change her mind. After signing, he looked up, flashing what he thought was a charming smile, but was actually just a cringy smirk. Ms. Pierce, I'm all yours now. Whatever you need, just say the word. Sugar Mama, I'm ready. Catherine closed her eyes, feeling her blood pressure skyrocket. She took a deep breath and told herself, for the company, for the bottom line, I will endure. On his first day as special assistant to the CEO, Ethan discovered the job was a custom-made paradise. His duties included opening Catherine's car door, making her coffee, and sitting behind her during meetings like a silent, well-dressed statue. That was it. Sitting in the outer assistant's office, Ethan kicked his feet up on his new desk and with his brand-new top-of-the-line computer, openly browsed Reddit. This is the life. The actual life. So this is how the other half lives. $150,000 a year for this? This isn't a job. It's a paid vacation. Catherine's white pantsuit today was seriously on point. It really showed off her assets. Too bad she's a robot. A beautiful, non-smiling robot. What's she even doing in there? Probably staring at financial reports. I need a PhD to understand. So boring. She could be grinding levels in a video game with all that time. In the inner office, Catherine was staring at an urgent report. Her brow furrowed, but her reading speed was significantly slower than usual. Ethan's vibrant inner monologue was a relentless, high-energy distraction. She now had to process complex corporate data while being forced to listen to a slacker's guide to goofing off and CEO fashion critiques. She'd been staring at the same page for 10 minutes. She hadn't absorbed a single financial projection, but she had memorized the top 10 unsolved mysteries at Solstice, which Ethan had just read on a Slack channel. Mysteries like why the company mascot was a green frog and whether the bald head of the IT director was hiding a secret bank account password. Catherine felt her professional resolve being tested like never before. "Ethan," she pressed the intercom button. "Ready and waiting, Ms. Pierce. What can I do for you?" Ethan's voice was a model of cheerful efficiency. "Showtime. The Eagle has a mission. Let's see who needs my world-class service. Come in here. Make me a coffee." "You got it." A moment later, Ethan entered, carrying a steaming mug, which he placed carefully on her desk. "Your coffee, Ms. Pierce." Catherine picked it up and sniffed. It wasn't the burnt dirt smell from yesterday. Huh. See, I'm a genius. I saw her spit out that swill yesterday. So today I use my personal stash of Jamaican blue mountain beans, ground them myself. This woman might not say it, but she's got standards. The way to a woman's heart is through her stomach, or in this case, her caffeine addiction. Once she can't live without my coffee, she won't be able to live without me. I'm brilliant. Catherine's hand holding the mug paused. She looked at Ethan's eager, praise me now expression. Her feelings a chaotic mix. On the one hand, the man was surprisingly observant and the coffee was actually incredible. On the other hand, would the cheesy romance novel plot playing out in his head ever reach its final chapter? In the end, a single non-committal syllable was all she offered. Him? What the hell does HM mean? Is it good, bad? Give me a straight answer. Lady whatever. Women, a mystery wrapped in an enigma. Mission accomplished. Time to get back to slacking. Ethan turned to leave. Stay, Catherine commanded. Something else, Miss Pierce?
Oh boy, here we go.
Is she going to make her move? Catherine took a deep breath, suppressed her homicidal urges, and pointed to a stack of files on a credenza. I have a meeting with Victor Xiao from Zenith Properties this afternoon to discuss a partnership. This is all their public data from the last 3 years, plus our proposal. I want you to review it. Give me your take in 30 minutes. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision. She needed to know if Ethan's uncanny insight was a fluke or something more. Ethan's face fell instantly. You've got to be kidding me. Real work? She wants me to read all this in half an hour? What does she think I am? A supercomputer? And she wants my take? My take is that it's 3 p.m., the perfect time for goofing off, not for working. Despite his internal rebellion, the power of a $150,000 salary was absolute. With a pained expression, Ethan picked up a stack of files, plopped down on the sofa, and began to read. Catherine pretended to work, but she was really listening to his thoughts. Zenith Properties, real estate developers, huh? That market's been in the toilet lately. Let's see. Whoa, their financials from last year look amazing. A 50% net profit increase. That's gotta be fake. My uncle's in construction and he almost lost his shirt last year. There's no way these guys buck the trend. Ah, there it is. Their accounts receivable is absurdly high, almost half their total assets. That means they haven't actually sold most of their properties. They're just carrying the debt on their books to inflate their profits. Classic house of cards. And this CEO, Victor Xiao. Lots of tabloid stories about him. Got photographed on a yacht with some Instagram model last month. A guy like that isn't focused on his company. Our proposal is, we want to buy that old shipyard plot in Georgetown. I'm pretty sure the new city plan includes a major waste incineration plant right next to that land. It hasn't been announced yet, but my uncle's buddy who works at the Department of Planning mentioned it over beers a while back. Holy crap, this Victor Xiao is trying to play us for suckers. If Catherine signs this deal, we're looking at a $50 million loss minimum. Catherine's grip on her pen tightened. She looked over at Ethan on the sofa, who was scratching his head with a constipated look on his face. And for the first time, she felt a genuine sense of shock. Falsified financials, the CEO's personal life, even unannounced municipal zoning plans. Some of this information would take a top-tier corporate intelligence team weeks to uncover. Some of it was impossible to find. How do you know? Just from skimming public records for 15 minutes? What the hell was going on inside his head? 30 minutes later, Ethan walked over holding a single sheet of paper with only a few lines scrawled on it, looking miserable. Ms. Pierce, I just skimmed it. This is probably all garbage. Don't take it seriously. Catherine took the paper. It read, financials look fishy. Risky partnership. Company seems like a sleazeball. Proceed with caution. The Georgetown plot has bad juju. Don't build there. Bad juju? That's the best he could come up with? Well, it's the best I could write. I can't exactly tell her my uncle's buddy from the planning department told me. Can I? Ethan's internal monologue continued. Bad juju, it is. A corporate shark like her will probably laugh it off. Whatever, I warned her. If she loses $50 million, the company will have layoffs, and I can walk away with a nice severance package. Win-win. Catherine put the paper down and looked up at him, her gaze deep and inscrutable. Ethan, are you an expert in juju? Huh? Ethan froze. What does she mean by that? Does she actually believe in that stuff? No way. He had to commit to the bit a little. It, runs in the family? Catherine nodded slowly, then picked up her desk phone and dialed her secretary. Cancel this afternoon's meeting with Zenith Properties, she said. And one more thing. Have a legal team prepare an offer. We're acquiring Apex Holdings. Her secretary on the other end was stunned into silence. Ethan was also stunned into silence. Holy crap, she listened to me because I said the place had bad juju and she's acquiring Apex? That empty shell from yesterday's meeting? What is she planning? Catherine hung up the phone and looked at Ethan, speaking slowly and deliberately. You were right. Victor Xiao can't be trusted. Rather than partner with an untrustworthy man, I'd rather own him. Apex Holdings may be an empty shell, but it's a publicly traded shell with massive outstanding bank loans. For a small price, we could buy up their debt from the banks. Then the entire company will be ours. And then, using Apex's name, we'll file a whistleblower report against Zenith Properties for financial fraud. A cold, predatory smile touched Catherine's lips. Victor Xiao will be begging us to take that land for free. Ethan listened, his jaw on the floor. His mind could only form a single coherent thought. This woman is an absolute savage. Ethan was discovering that being Catherine Pierce's special assistant was like living in a surreal, high-stakes alternate reality. 1 minute, he was reeling from her ruthless plan to dismantle Zenith Properties. The next, she was dragging him to a high-end department store. Stay close. Don't wander off, she instructed, her heels clicking with authority, her presence parting the crowds like the Red Sea. Ethan followed behind her like a nervous page boy. What the hell is this? Shouldn't we be in the office plotting corporate takeovers? Why are we at the mall? Wait, is this a reward for being such a good little corporate oracle? Let's see. That watch is nice, and I could use a new belt. Or, she could just buy me a condo. I'm not picky. Catherine stopped in front of a luxury menswear boutique. She turned, her eyes scanning Ethan from head to toe with a critical gaze. He was still wearing his usual uniform, a slightly faded flannel shirt, jeans, and a pair of worn-out sneakers. The whole outfit cost less than $100. What's she looking at? Is there something on my face? Oh, I get it. She thinks my wardrobe is pathetic. That I'm embarrassing her in public? Capitalists? Now they even control how their employees dress. What about my human rights? My freedom of expression? Although if the company's paying for it, I guess I can make an exception. Catherine, listening to the fierce internal debate between human rights and a corporate credit card, turned to the sales associate. Get him out of that. Find him something new right away. The associate beamed and led a bewildered Ethan toward the fitting rooms. 30 minutes later, when Ethan emerged, every head in the store turned. A perfectly tailored charcoal gray suit accentuated his tall, lean frame. A crisp white shirt with the top button undone gave him an air of casual confidence. The handmade Italian leather shoes on his feet gleamed under the lights. He was completely transformed. Damn, the clothes really do make the man. The boy next door had been replaced by a sophisticated, high-powered executive. Ethan stood in front of the mirror, turning this way and that, thoroughly impressed with himself. With these looks and this physique, how did I never notice before? My handsomeness was being held captive by my poverty. The Ice Queen's got good taste. I'll give her that. Catherine sat on a velvet sofa, sipping a glass of lemon water, watching him. She had to admit the change was striking. But it wasn't his appearance that interested her. It was the monologue she'd been listening to from the fitting room. Wow, this fabric is amazing. So much better than my 20 t-shirts. There's a tag in the pocket. Let's see. For $1,000. What? Are you kidding me? It's a few pieces of cloth. That's robbery. No way. This is too expensive. I can't let her buy this for me. But if I refuse, will I offend her? Will she think I'm ungrateful and fire me? Fine, whatever. I'll just have to work really hard to pay her back. Psych. I'm never going to work hard. I know, I'll just tell her I'm not comfortable in suits, that I prefer t-shirts. That way, she doesn't spend the money and I don't hurt her pride. God, I'm a genius. And then he stepped out of the fitting room and saw his reflection. Forget everything I just thought. They will have to surgically remove this suit from my body. No one has ever taken this off me. Catherine. The man's principles were flexible. Ring it up. Catherine handed her black card to the associate. 5 more outfits. Everything from the suits to the socks. Ethan's eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. Sugar mama. Oh my God, I love you. Catherine felt a familiar throb in her temples. In the days that followed, Ethan truly experienced what it meant to be the second most powerful person in the company. He became Catherine's shadow. When she held meetings, he sat behind her, listening to top-secret corporate strategy while mentally critiquing which director's hairline was receding the fastest. When she met with clients, he stood by her side, watching industry titans schmooze while silently analyzing which ones were snakes in the grass and which were just idiots. When she worked late, he stayed too, though he was usually in his office playing video games on his high-end computer. Catherine found herself growing accustomed to this dual-channel work mode. In one channel, the real world, her subordinates delivered their respectful, meticulously prepared reports. In the other, her mind, Ethan provided his unfiltered, chaotic, and often brilliant commentary. Ms. Pierce, regarding the Georgetown plot, Victor Xiao has contacted us 3 times. He seems desperate. What are your thoughts? Thoughts? Don't trust that slimeball. He's definitely trying to pull another fast one. Ignore him completely. Let him sweat. Ms. Pierce, the organizers of a European fashion summit have sent an invitation. They're hoping you'll attend. Go. Absolutely. Go. I hear the scenery over there is fantastic. A company-paid trip to Europe. Only an idiot would say no. Catherine, book my flight. Ms. Pierce, the new celebrity we just signed. His team wants to push for a role in that big new blockbuster movie. Forget it. That kid's acting is so wooden. He makes Pinocchio look like Daniel Day-Lewis. The movie will flop with him in it. Give the resources to that new guy, Kevin Shun. He's not a pretty boy, but I saw him at the company holiday party. The kid's got fire in his eyes. He's hungry. Catherine, give the opportunity to Kevin Shun and tell HR to invest in his development. The secretaries and directors all looked at Catherine with awe. Ms. Pierce was as decisive and visionary as ever. Every decision she made was so perfect. It was like she could see the future. Only Catherine knew she didn't have a crystal ball. She just had a human pop-up video commentary track. Ethan, for his part, was getting used to his new role as court advisor. He didn't know why Catherine had suddenly become so open to his unspoken suggestions, but he noticed that whenever he thought about something, it seemed to happen. Man, I'm craving some high-end sushi for lunch. 30 minutes later, Catherine's secretary had booked a table at the best Japanese restaurant near the office. My shoulders are kind of stiff. A massage would be amazing right now. The next day, a company-wide email announced the installation of state-of-the-art massage chairs in the executive lounge. I keep losing at this game. I wish I had a pro to carry me. That afternoon, the head of the IT department was invited into Catherine's office, where he was forced to spend 2 hours helping Ethan level up. Ethan lounged in a massage chair, sipping premium coffee, while the IT director carried him to victory. He couldn't help but sigh in contentment. This feeling of having my every whim catered to, this blissful lack of responsibility. In her office, processing files, a tiny, almost imperceptible smile touched Catherine's lips. Ms. Pierce, we have a problem. Sarah, her secretary, burst into the office, a rare hint of panic on her face. Catherine looked up from her documents, her expression calm. Explain. The news about our plan to acquire Apex Holdings somehow leaked. Now several other investment firms are driving up the price. It's already up 30%. Catherine's brow furrowed. The Apex acquisition was the linchpin of her strategy against Zenith. The only people who knew were a handful of senior executives. And Ethan, her eyes instinctively darted toward the outer office. Ethan was wearing headphones, bobbing his head to some silent beat. The very picture of a man at peace with the world. Damn, this beat is sick. Time to get this kill streak. Huh? Why is Sarah in there? She looks like the sky is falling. Is the company actually going bankrupt? I better check the details of my severance package. Catherine looked away. It wasn't him. The man's thoughts were an open book. All his secrets were written on his mental forehead. That meant there was a leak in her executive team. Investigate, Catherine said. It was the only word needed. Already on it, Sarah replied. But there's more. Victor Xiao at Zenith seems to have figured something out. He contacted us this morning. He's offering to sell us the Georgetown plot at a 20% discount if we agree to the partnership. Well, look at him. The rat's smart enough to try and chew off its own leg to escape the trap. Ethan's thoughts chimed in. A 20% discount is about $50 million. He's trying to buy our silence about his financial fraud. It's a clever move, but he's definitely got something else up his sleeve. Catherine's gaze sharpened. She was curious to see what sleeve Ethan could perceive. What's your take on it? She asked Sarah. Though her attention was entirely focused on Ethan, Sarah considered the situation. Xiao is showing weakness, but it's also a threat. If we refuse, he might just burn everything to the ground. We'd win, but we'd get dragged through the mud with him. I think we should at least hear him out. It was the most prudent business decision. Catherine nodded but said nothing. She was waiting for Ethan's commentary. Hear him out? Are you kidding me? Ethan's thoughts were dripping with contempt. A guy like Xiao is a leech. Once he latches on, you can't get him off. He's offering a discount now, but once the partnership is signed, he'll find a dozen ways to get that money back. Inflated construction costs, substandard materials, project delays. Plus, he'll publicize the partnership everywhere, creating the illusion that the Solstice Group is backing him. He'll use our reputation to secure more bank loans to fill the black hole of his company's finances. Once he's cashed out from the banks, he'll disappear, and we'll be stuck with a useless piece of land next to a garbage incinerator. We won't even have anyone to sue. A thin layer of cold sweat formed on Catherine's back. Every step Ethan outlined was a masterclass in corporate sabotage. The logic was flawless. Could a lazy, slacking, obsessed nobody really come up with this? For the first time, a genuine suspicion about Ethan's identity began to form. Was he a prophet, or was he a master playing the part of a fool? Ms. Pierce? Sarah's voice broke the silence. Catherine snapped back to reality, her expression once again unreadable. Reply to Victor Xiao, she said, her voice cold, precise. Tell him to get his affairs in order. Sarah's eyes widened. This wasn't just a business move anymore. It was a declaration of war. Why was Ms. Pierce being so aggressive today? That afternoon, Catherine did something she never did. She stopped working. She simply sat in her office, watching Ethan through the one-way glass. She wanted to see what this man actually did when he was slacking off. She was disappointed. Ethan was, in fact, genuinely slacking off. He spent an hour meticulously comparing hamburger deals on Uber Eats and DoorDash before choosing the one with the best coupon. Then, he spent 30 minutes watching a compilation of fail videos on YouTube, laughing like an idiot. The rest of his time was devoted to a video game. He never once looked at a work-related document. He didn't contact anyone suspicious. He was just a purely, blissfully, hopelessly lazy person. A strange sense of frustration washed over Catherine. Was he really just a gifted amateur? Did all his brilliant insights truly spring from some innate sarcastic genius? Just then, Ethan seemed to get stuck in his game. He made a tisk sound, closed the game window, and started browsing the web aimlessly. He clicked on a stock market analysis site. Ugh, let's see how much money my few $100 in stocks have lost today, he muttered to himself. Lighthouse AI. Plummeting like a stone. Everyone says AI is the future, but this looks more like a dumpster fire. Wait a second. This chart is interesting. Look at the trading volume for the past few days. It's been shrinking on the way down, which means most people are trapped and not selling anymore. But at a few key support levels, there are these small, almost unnoticeable buy orders propping up the price. That means a major player is quietly accumulating shares, and the company's founders all recently collateralized their personal stock holdings with the banks. On the surface, it looks like they're desperate for cash. But when you combine that with the secret buying, holy crap, they're setting up a classic short squeeze. They're releasing bad news to drive the price down, forcing retail investors to panic sell so they can scoop up all the cheap shares. Once they've consolidated their position, they'll suddenly announce some game-changing new tech. The stock will go to the moon. These Wall Street guys are ruthless. Crap. I better sell my shares now before I lose everything. And with that, he actually sold his measly handful of Lighthouse AI shares. Then satisfied, he switched back to his video game. Inside her office, Catherine sat in stunned silence. Her mind was reeling. She picked up her phone and dialed a number. "It's me. I wanted to look into a company called Lighthouse AI, use all of our resources. I want to know everything about them, especially what they're currently developing." She hung up and looked at Ethan again. He was cheering because he had just beaten a level in his game. Catherine's expression was a complex mix of emotions. A slacker? No, this man was like an iceberg. You only saw the small, foolish part he chose to show you. Beneath the surface lay a hidden, awe-inspiring power, capable of changing the entire game. She whispered the words to herself. There's more to this man than meets the eye. 3 days later, 2 reports sat on Catherine's desk. The first was the investigation into the corporate leak. The culprit was a senior vice president, a man who had worked with her father for years. He'd been caught embezzling funds and had been blackmailed by a competitor into leaking the information. The second report was the deep dive on Lighthouse AI. Its contents were staggering. 6 months ago, Lighthouse AI had secretly launched an artificial intelligence project called Prometheus, and they had already achieved a major breakthrough. Once announced, it would trigger an earthquake in the tech industry. And now, this $100 billion secret was sitting on her desk, all thanks to a few offhand comments from a man who was just trying to kill time. Catherine looked through the glass at Ethan, who was now meticulously applying a new screen protector to his phone. And for the first time, she felt fear, not anxiety, fear. A primal fear of a power she could not comprehend. Who was Ethan Hayes? The heir to some hidden dynasty experiencing life as a commoner? A member of a secret organization with an unknown agenda? Or was he not even from this world? 1,000 wild theories flashed through her mind. Her prized logic and reason were useless against the enigma that was Ethan Hayes. This stupid screen protector is full of bubbles, Ethan's voice cut through her thoughts. I should have just gone to that guy at the mall kiosk. $10 for a perfect job every time. Man, why is the Ice Queen staring at me today? It's giving me the creeps. She didn't see me putting on a screen protector during work hours, did she? Come on. After all I've done for this company, I can't apply a screen protector unless she's really into me now. I mean, it makes sense. A man who can slack off all day and still generate millions in profit. What woman wouldn't be intrigued? Catherine. And just like that, the fear was gone, replaced by that familiar, overwhelming urge to commit assault. She pressed the intercom. Ethan, come in. Ethan jumped. His hand slipped and a massive new bubble appeared under the screen protector. He sighed and walked into her office. You wanted to see me, Miss Pierce? Here we go. Judgment Day. Am I getting a raise or is she docking my pay? Catherine said nothing, simply pushing the 2 reports across the desk toward him. Ethan hesitated, then picked them up. He read the report about the leak first and just said, "Oh, so it's the VP, not surprised." You could tell he was a weasel just by looking at him. Then he picked up the Lighthouse AI report. As he read, his eyes grew wider and wider. No expletive way. I was right. Project Prometheus. It's real. Oh God, no. I sold all my shares a few days ago. Is it too late to buy back in? That thing is going to rocket. To Pluto. My money, my sports car, my life of leisure. A torrential downpour of $100 bills was happening in Ethan's mind, and he had forgotten his umbrella. The regret was physically painful. Catherine quietly watched the "I just lost $1 billion" tragedy play out on his face, listening to the silent, gut-wrenching screams in his head. And she finally confirmed one thing. Ethan Hayes truly knew nothing. He wasn't a secret agent. He wasn't a corporate mastermind. He was just a regular guy with a freakishly accurate gut instinct and an incredible amount of dumb luck. The realization was both a relief and an absurdity. All her suspicion, all her testing. Tim, it was probably just the boss being weird again. What's your take on these 2 situations? Catherine decided to test him one more time. Ethan put the reports down, his face still a mask of agony. Huh? My take? My take is that I want to invent a time machine, go back 3 days, and punch myself in the face for selling that stock. Tell me, Catherine insisted, cornered by her unwavering gaze. Ethan had no choice but to answer. Well, the VP is a company veteran. Maybe give him a second chance. Let him make up for it. You should fire. Catherine raised an eyebrow, waiting. Send him to a labor camp in Alaska, someone muttered. Traitor. Catherine's inner voice and outer expression were clearly not in sync. Meanwhile, Ethan's eyes darted around the room, his pulse quickening. This is it, the jackpot. He could practically taste victory. We have to go all in. We should buy every share we can get our hands on. Mortgage the company. Go all in, his thoughts raced. When the news breaks, we'll be the wolves of Wall Street. Catherine will be the richest woman in the world, and as the genius behind it all, she'll have to give me a cut, right? A few $100 million should do it. He cleared his throat, trying to sound serious. Ms. Pierce, he began carefully, I believe we should wait and see. Catherine turned toward him, her expression unreadable. Mark, Ethan continued, now slipping into full performance mode, think about it. If we know about this, other big players probably do too. If we jump in now, the price is too high, too risky. It's better to let them fight it out and then we swoop in and pick up the pieces. Inside, he was almost giddy. I'm a genius. I'll tell her not to buy, and then I'll secretly take out a loan, mortgage my future, and put everything I have into it. Once I'm rich, I'll quit this stupid job and live a life of luxury. Then we'll see who's boss, Catherine Pierce. He smirked inwardly. My destiny is in my own hands. The office was silent. Catherine looked at the man in front of her. So pleased with his imagined brilliance, he might as well have been popping champagne in his head. Slowly, she lifted her coffee cup. This time she didn't drink. She simply looked at Ethan with a faint mix of pity and amusement. Then she pressed the button on her desk. Mark, she said evenly, I want you to start buying shares of Lighthouse AI, immediately. Use all available capital. No upper limit. She paused, her gaze flicking back to Ethan's still daydreaming face. And one more thing. Notify HR. Ethan Hayes' performance as my special assistant has been exemplary. Double his bonus this month. Also draft a 3-year special talent retention contract. I want him to sign it. Yes, a breach of contract penalty. Let's set it at $50 million. On the other end of the line, Mark hesitated. Ethan, wait a minute. Something's not right here. Ethan realized he'd been trapped the moment HR handed him the contract. The head of HR was smiling like a Cheshire cat. The paper in his hands might as well have been a 5-year prison sentence with a $50 million penalty. He felt his soul leave his body. Congratulations, Ethan, HR said warmly. Ms. Pierce clearly sees great things in your future. Ethan held the pen, his hand trembling. Great things, my ass. This is a life sentence. 5 years with a $50 million penalty? They could sell me for parts and still not make that much. That woman's a monster. She's chaining me to this company. My financial freedom, my life of luxury, gone. He wanted to throw the pen down to scream, I quit. But then his eyes landed on the double bonus clause. A $20,000 check was waiting for him this month. His rebellion deflated instantly. Okay, let's be rational. A smart man knows when to fold. 5 years isn't that long, it'll fly by. Besides, working for her isn't so bad. The pay's great, the perks are amazing. 50 million, whatever. It's not like I'll ever have to actually pay it. With the grim determination of a man signing his own death warrant, he scrawled his name across the page. In her office, Catherine listened to his entire inner monologue play out. A small, triumphant smile tugged at her lips. You thought you could outsmart me? The stock of Lighthouse AI exploded overnight. The day after Solstice Group finalized its position, Lighthouse AI held a press conference and officially announced Project Prometheus. The tech world went into shock. The company's stock hit the circuit breaker 10 days in a row, soaring to unimaginable heights. Wall Street was buzzing. Everyone wanted to know who the mysterious buyer was that had poured billions into Lighthouse right before the breakthrough. Solstice Group became a legend. The company's market value doubled in 2 weeks. Catherine Pierce was no longer just a rising star. She was a titan. And one of the architects of this legend, Ethan Hayes, sat in his office staring blankly at his personal trading account, silently weeping. He had hesitated for one day, and in that hesitation, he'd missed the rocket ship. By the time he'd secured a loan and invested, it was too late. He had already lost out on at least a waterfront mansion in Medina. The pain, it's unbearable. I missed out on 100 million. No, a billion. It's all Catherine's fault. She did it on purpose. She knew I'd try to buy it myself, so she trapped me with that contract. That woman's heart is blacker than coal. Catherine, listening to his tearful accusations from her office, was in an unusually good mood. She took a slow sip of the coffee Ethan had made that morning. It was especially good today. Knock, knock. The new Vice President Kevin Chun stepped inside. He was the same young man Ethan had mentally promoted in his head before. Turns out Ethan's eye for talent was spot on. Kevin was sharp, confident, and had already cleaned up the mess left by the previous VP. Ms. Pierce, Kevin said, handing her a file. Zenith Properties is on the verge of collapse. Victor Xiao wants to meet with you, a last-ditch effort. Catherine took the file and flipped it open. Zenith's financial fraud had been fully exposed. The banks had pulled their loans, partners had fled, and the stock was worthless. Bankruptcy was all but guaranteed. Where and when? She asked. Tonight, at the Sterling Club. Catherine nodded, her expression calm. Ethan, she said into the intercom, get ready. We're going out tonight. Ethan's eyes lit up. Ooh, the final showdown with the villain. This is going to be good. I have to be there. The Sterling Club, Ethan muttered to himself. I hear the waitresses there are all supermodels. I mean, the ambience is supposed to be very sophisticated. Catherine's expression hardened. Night fell. Inside a lavish private room at the Sterling Club, Victor Xiao sat slumped on the sofa. In just a few weeks, he looked as if he had aged 10 years. His hair was grayer, his face drawn and weary. The arrogant tycoon who once exuded confidence was gone. When Catherine walked in, Victor scrambled to his feet, forcing a smile that looked more painful than polite. Ms. Pierce, you're here. His eyes flickered toward Ethan, standing silently behind her. There was a trace of confusion there. Why was he here? Catherine took the seat at the head of the table, her presence commanding, cold, and sharp as steel. Let's get to it, Victor. My time is valuable. Victor's face twitched. He took a deep breath, his shoulders sagging in defeat. Ms. Pierce, he said hoarsely, you've won. I admit it. The Georgetown plot, it's yours. Free. All my personal stock. I'll transfer 30% to you. No charge. All I ask is that you show a little mercy. Leave me a way out. His voice trembled. He looked like a man on the verge of tears, the image of total ruin. Behind her, Ethan was having a field day in his head. Keep acting, pal. Lay it on thick. Crocodile tears. He's so full of it. He's got a recorder taped under the table, and his right hand's been in his pocket this whole time, definitely recording on his phone. He's trying to get evidence of Catherine blackmailing him so he can leak it to the press. A last-ditch, mutually assured destruction play. Tsk-tsk. Even at death's door, still a snake. Catherine lifted her teacup, blowing gently across the surface. Her expression didn't change. Calm, composed, completely unbothered. It was as if she already knew everything. She set the cup down with a crisp click against the saucer. Victor, she said quietly, her voice smooth and deliberate. Before you start begging, why don't you take out the things you have under the table and in your pocket? The color drained from Victor Xiao's face. The air in the room thickened and went still. He looked at her like he'd seen a ghost, sweat beading on his forehead. His hand froze mid-motion in his pocket. How did she know? He had been so careful. Catherine watched his terrified expression with faint amusement, a smirk curving her lips. She raised her teacup again, touching it lightly to her lips without drinking. The gesture was graceful and chilling. Behind her, Ethan was silently cheering. Ha! Look at that! The look of pure, unfiltered contempt. Xiao just got completely owned. Tried to play dirty, and she saw right through him. This is awesome. I love it when the villain's master plan blows up in his face. But wait, how did she know? Does she have some kind of bug detector? I didn't see one. Damn, this woman is getting more and more mysterious. Catherine put her cup down again, her eyes turning cold as ice. Victor, she said softly, my patience is wearing thin. That was the final blow. Victor Xiao's mental defenses crumbled. With trembling hands, he pulled his phone from his pocket and ripped a small recording pen from beneath the table. Miss Pierce, I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking straight. Please, give me another chance. He fell to his knees with a dull thud. The once mighty titan of industry was now groveling like a broken man. Ethan shook his head silently. You reap what you sow. So what's her next move? Knowing her, she'll probably have him arrested. He'll be making license plates for the next 20 years. Good riddance. He deserves it. But Catherine's next words froze even Ethan. Get up, she said flatly. Victor froze. Ethan froze. What? She's letting him go? That's not like her at all. Catherine looked down at Victor. Zenith Properties will go bankrupt, but you won't. I'll give you enough money to live comfortably for the rest of your life. On one condition. Victor looked up, desperate, clinging to that sliver of hope. Anything. I'll do anything. I need you to do something for me, Catherine said, leaning forward slightly. Her voice dropped to a low, almost seductive whisper. I need you to go work for Vance Global. The name hit both Victor and Ethan like a jolt of electricity. Vance Global, one of the largest conglomerates in the country, even more powerful than Solstice Group. And its chairman, Harrison Vance, had been her father's greatest rival. The man who had indirectly driven him into the depression that ended his life. Everyone in the business world knew it. Holy crap, Ethan thought. Her target was never Victor Xiao. It was always Harrison Vance. She didn't destroy Zenith for revenge. She did it to acquire Victor as an asset. His company's dead, but his connections and knowledge of Vance's operations are still valuable. He's the perfect mole, a dagger aimed straight at Harrison Vance's heart. This isn't just checkmate, it's psychological warfare. This woman is terrifying. Ethan felt a chill crawl down his spine. He'd thought he understood her, but he had underestimated her completely. Her ambition was far beyond anything he'd imagined. Victor realized it too. Fear and hesitation flickered across his face. Working as a mole inside Vance Global, that was a death sentence. Harrison Vance was 100 times more ruthless than Catherine. But if he refused... He looked up into Catherine's cold, steady eyes and shuddered. Refusing might mean he wouldn't leave this room alive. I'll do it, Victor choked out, the words tasting like poison. A slow, satisfied smile spread across Catherine's lips. It was faint but breathtaking, beautiful and deadly, like a night-blooming poppy. Watching her, Ethan felt his heart skip. Oh, man. When she smiles like that, she's a knockout. It's the smile of a supervillain, but I think I kind of like it. Is there something wrong with me? Catherine, hearing his unspoken thoughts, let her smile deepen slightly. She looked down at Victor. A pleasure doing business with you. Then she turned and walked away, her movements sharp and precise. Ethan hurried after her. Out in the brightly lit hallway, he trailed a few steps behind, watching her slender, powerful silhouette move through the light. Awe washed over him. This woman was calm, brilliant, and dangerous, all at once. She was a force of nature, a vortex that pulled everything around her in. Having a boss like this is a double-edged sword, Ethan thought. I feel like she could sell me for parts and I'd still help her count the money. But then he glanced at her perfect profile and felt something else stir. It's also kind of a thrill. Just then, Catherine stopped and turned to face him. They were so close he could smell the faint, clean scent she wore, like a pine forest after fresh snow. Ethan, she said suddenly. Yes? He stammered. Back there, Catherine's eyes searched his, a faint curiosity glimmering in them. Were you a little afraid of me? Ethan's heart dropped. How did she know? Was I that obvious? He straightened up, forcing himself to act casual. Can't let her think I'm scared of her. That's a career-limiting move. He puffed out his chest and put on what he hoped was a confident expression, though it probably looked ridiculous. Of course not, Ms. Pierce. You were brilliant. A strategic genius. I was just in awe. Catherine said nothing. She just stared at him. The silence stretched, heavy and unnerving. What's she doing? Is she going to have me whacked? I know too much. Can I make it to the exit if I run now? Just as the imaginary action movie in his head hit its climax, Catherine took a small step forward. The distance between them vanished, close enough to make his breath hitch. She reached out and, with a light touch, straightened his tie where it had gone crooked. Her cool fingertips brushed the skin of his neck. Ethan froze. His mind went completely blank. Then he heard her voice, softer than he'd ever heard it before, with the faintest, playful hint of a smile near his ear. Don't be. From now on, I've got your back. Ethan felt like he was floating. From the moment they left the Sterling Club, climbed into the Rolls-Royce, and all the way until the car stopped in front of a shabby apartment building, he was in a daze. Catherine's gesture, her words, were like a depth charge dropped into the still, lazy lake of his heart, sending shockwaves through him. Was she just flirting with me? It had to be the tie straightening. And that "I've got your back" line. That's straight out of a cheesy romance novel. Oh my God, is she really? His heart was pounding, a frantic drum solo against his ribs. Get out! Catherine's icy voice from the driver's seat hit him like a bucket of cold water. Oh, right. Ethan fumbled with his seatbelt and stumbled out of the car. Standing on the curb, he looked at the silhouette of her perfect profile through the tinted window, his mind spinning. 1 minute she's the Ice Queen, the next a ruthless mastermind, and now a flirtatious siren. How many different women are hiding in there? Well, I'm heading up. You drive safe, Miss Pierce, Ethan stammered, hovering awkwardly by the car door. Catherine didn't answer. Instead, she unbuckled her seatbelt. Ethan blinked as she opened her door and stepped out. He started, but words failed him. What is she doing? Is she going to walk me to my door? No, she's coming up with me. A man and a woman alone in an apartment? Isn't this moving a little fast? I'm not prepared for this. I mean, I'm not opposed, but shouldn't we at least establish a committed, loving relationship first? Catherine listened to the fierce debate in his head, his internal war between pure and impure thoughts, and felt a vein in her temple start to throb. She briefly considered prying open his skull just to see if there was anything inside, besides bad romance cliches. I'm walking you up, she said coolly, cutting straight through his mental chaos. What? No, you don't have to. Ethan waved his hands frantically. This is fine. Really, I can get up there myself. Don't trouble yourself. He had to be joking. His apartment was a certified disaster zone. Letting a woman like her see it would be sacrilege. But Catherine wasn't giving him a choice. She glanced at the old building with its ivy-covered walls and flickering porch light. Her brow furrowed. I said, I'm walking you up. Her tone left no room for argument. Ethan, it's an order from a queen. I must obey. Goodbye, my unwashed socks. Goodbye, my collection of instant noodle cups. Goodbye, my dignity. With the grim acceptance of a man walking to the gallows, Ethan led Catherine into the dark, musty stairwell. The motion-activated lights worked only when they felt like it. Ethan stomped ahead, trying to trigger them. Stomp, stomp. Light, you bastard, work! He chanted in his head. Catherine followed behind, listening to his ridiculous inner monologue and feeling her understanding of reality begin to warp. Finally, they reached the 6th floor. Ethan's hand trembled as he pulled out his keys and unlocked the door. A familiar wave of single-guy apartment smell, ramen, old takeout, and gym socks rolled out to greet them. Catherine's frown deepened. She stood at the doorway, making no move to enter. Ethan laughed awkwardly and started frantically cleaning. Ms. Pierce, make yourself comfortable, anywhere. I'll, get you a glass of water. He rushed to the kitchen, dug through a pile of dirty dishes, grabbed the cleanest-looking glass, and rinsed it like his life depended on it. Can she drink this tap water? Is she going to get sick? Whatever. Better than dying of thirst. Catherine watched his guilty scramble, and something strange stirred in her chest. It was part amusement, and part sadness. This is where the man who can spot billion-dollar conspiracies lives, she thought. That's not necessary, she said at last, her voice softer than usual. I came up because I need to talk to you. Talk about what? Ethan froze, glass in hand. No way. She's not going to confess her love here, is she? This place has all the romance of a bus station bathroom. Catherine ignored his inner commentary and went straight to the point. You're moving. What? The company has a few executive apartments at Pinnacle Towers. They're currently vacant. You'll move in tomorrow. The Pinnacle Towers. The glass nearly slipped from Ethan's hand. That was the most exclusive luxury building in the city. An apartment there cost more than he'd earn in a lifetime. Holy crap, is this for real? She's giving me an apartment? This is it. She's making me her kept man. Ms. Pierce, please, I'm not that kind of guy. Unless a car is included. Catherine felt her patience snap. She took a slow breath, reached into her purse, and tossed a set of keys onto the cluttered shoe rack by the door. The red Ferrari in the parking garage is also yours. Company car. Consider it a bonus for helping the company make a few billion. She gave the small, messy apartment one last glance. My driver will be here at 8 a.m. tomorrow to pick you up. Be packed. And with that, she turned and walked away, the sound of her heels fading down the hall. Ethan stood in his doorway, holding a glass of water, his world flipped upside down. He glanced at the Ferrari keys in his hand, then at his tiny, cramped apartment. It felt unreal, like he'd stepped into someone else's dream. It took him a full minute to process what had just happened. Then he bolted to the balcony. Watching her car disappear down the street, he could only scream in his mind, Ms. Pierce, you're a goddess. I love you. Inside a Rolls-Royce already a block away, Catherine's hands tightened on the steering wheel. A smile she couldn't quite suppress spread across her face. A few days later, in the penthouse apartment at Pinnacle Towers, with its 360-degree panoramic view of the city, Ethan stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows. He wore a silk pajama set, a glass of ice-cold vintage Coke in hand, gazing down at the glittering skyline. He sighed, a sound that came out as pure, contented emptiness. The life of the rich is so boring. A week ago, he'd been a wage slave, crammed onto the subway, living on ramen, praying for the company to go bankrupt. Now he lived in a multi-million-dollar penthouse, drove a Ferrari, and had a six-figure bonus sitting in his bank account. Life comes at you fast. He swirled the ice in his glass, feeling like he'd reached the absolute peak of human existence. The only downside was that the massive apartment felt a little too empty. You'd think after setting me up in a place like this, Catherine would move in with me. But no. Oh, right. She lives across the hall. He remembered the driver mentioning that Ms. Pierce occupied the penthouse opposite his. A golden opportunity, he thought with a grin. Hey, she doesn't seem to be home, though. Must be out of town. Just as that thought crossed his mind, the door to the opposite apartment clicked open. But it wasn't Catherine who stepped out. A tall, slender woman emerged, wearing a baseball cap and a black face mask that hid most of her features. The only visible part of her face, her eyes, were stunning, almond-shaped and filled with secrets. She moved with effortless grace, her figure impossible to hide even beneath casual clothes. Ethan's curiosity kicked into overdrive. Well, hello there. Who's this? Why is there another woman coming out of Catherine's apartment? A friend, a relative? No, wait. There's something familiar about the way she moves. The woman glanced up and down the hallway before quietly closing the door behind her. As she turned toward the elevator, she lowered her mask for just a moment. Ethan's jaw nearly hit the floor. Holy crap, is that Isabella Rossi? The Isabella Rossi, star of Chronicles of Etheria, the face on every bus and billboard in the city. What is she doing coming out of Catherine's apartment? Are they together? In an instant, Ethan's imagination went wild. A secret love affair between the Ice Queen CEO and an A-list actress? This is gold! He could practically see the headlines. No wonder Catherine isn't interested in men. As his thoughts spiraled into absurd territory, the elevator arrived with a soft ding. Isabella stepped inside and the doors closed behind her. Ethan stayed glued to the window, his heart racing. This is the biggest secret I've ever stumbled on. I can't tell anyone. I shouldn't, but I really, really want to. Just then his phone rang. It was Catherine. He jumped, straightened up, and answered in his most professional tone. Ms. Pierce, hello? Her cool, calm voice came through the line. Are you settled in? All settled. The apartment is incredible. Thank you, Ms. Pierce. Good. She paused for a moment. I'm out of the country on business, Europe for a week. Keep an eye on things at the office while I'm gone. You can count on me, Ms. Pierce. Everything will be under control, he said, trying not to sound too giddy. Haha, the cat's away, the mice will play. For the next week, I'm the king of the castle. The office is my playground. There was a short silence on the line. Ethan. Yes? I can't hear you. Huh? Hear what? He frowned. My heart pounding with excitement, he wanted to joke. But before he could say anything, Catherine sighed. Never mind. Just try not to burn the building down. She hung up. Ethan stared at his phone. She's so weird sometimes, always talking in riddles. He looked toward the opposite apartment. But if she's in Europe, what was Isabella Rossi doing there? Is Catherine hiding a secret celebrity love nest? Man, the lives of the rich and famous are complicated. Shaking his head, he decided to just enjoy his new reality. He turned on the massive smart TV, and the first thing that appeared was an ad featuring Isabella Rossi's flawless face. She was promoting a new perfume. The tagline read, "For you 1,000 times over."
Ethan looked from the glamorous woman on screen to the memory of the disguised figure sneaking out of Catherine's apartment.
Something isn't adding up, he thought. Meanwhile, high above the Atlantic on a private jet, Catherine ended her call and rubbed her temples. Leaving Ethan unsupervised already felt like a mistake. She turned to the woman seated beside her, who was focused on a movie script. Isabella, we need to talk. The actress looked up, her famous face showing a hint of concern. She was, of course, the same woman who had just left Catherine's apartment. What's wrong, Cat? Isabella asked. My new assistant. I think he may have gotten the wrong idea about our relationship, Catherine said carefully, the words awkward on her tongue. The wrong idea? Isabella's eyes sparkled with amusement. What did he think? Catherine hesitated. She couldn't very well tell her best friend that Ethan believed they were secret lovers. Isabella had been her closest friend since childhood, and the star of the Solstice Group's entertainment division. To avoid paparazzi, she often stayed at Catherine's hidden, unlisted apartment. It was their shared secret, and somehow Ethan had stumbled right into it on his very first day. It's nothing, Catherine said finally. Just maybe stay away from my apartment for a while. Why? Isabella pouted playfully. Catherine looked out the window at the endless stretch of clouds, her expression unreadable. Because my new neighbor is a handful. Back in the city, Catherine's absence was pure bliss for Ethan. Every morning, he drove the flashy red Ferrari to work, basking in the jealous stares of his co-workers as he strode into the executive suite. He'd close the door behind him and start another glorious day of high-end slacking. With Catherine gone, there was no one to stop him. In the mornings, he blasted old Bill Burr stand-up specials through the office sound system. At lunch, he ordered extravagant meals from DoorDash and ate while scrolling through gossip sites. Afternoons were for movies, video games, or napping on the plush leather sofa in the lounge. Ah, the decadent capitalist lifestyle. I could get used to this. He grinned to himself. It would be perfect if the Ice Queen never came back. No, wait, who would sign my paychecks? Okay, she can come back occasionally just to sign checks, then leave again. Miles away in Europe, in the middle of a video conference with the CEO of a French luxury brand, Catherine nearly snapped her fountain pen in half. She swore that when she returned, she was going to triple Ethan's workload. No, make that quintuple. One slow afternoon, bored of his usual routine, Ethan started exploring Catherine's office. This place is bigger than my parents' entire house, he muttered. All these books in French and German, she probably can't even read them. They're just for show. Then something caught his eye, a small picture frame tucked behind a stack of files facing the wall. Curiosity got the better of him. He picked it up and turned it around. The photo showed a teenage girl, maybe 17 or 18, dressed in a simple school uniform. Her hair was tied up in a high ponytail, and she held a basketball under one arm, a light sheen of sweat glistening on her face. Her smile was so bright it could melt glaciers. Ethan froze. Who is this? She looks kind of like the Ice Queen. No way, Catherine Pierce smiling like that? Impossible. But the more he looked, the clearer it became. The eyes, the shape of the face, it was her. A younger Catherine. One version like summer, warm, alive, full of energy. The other like winter, cold, distant, untouchable. Holy crap, this is Catherine Pierce in high school. She used to be like this? What happened to turn that sunny, happy girl into the corporate terminator she is now? For the first time, real curiosity stirred in Ethan. Beyond all the jokes and fantasies, he suddenly wanted to understand her. He gently placed the frame back on the desk, but the image stayed in his mind. The smiling girl who seemed like a completely different person. He stood there for a long moment, realizing that behind the power and the ice, Catherine Pierce might just be someone with a story. When Catherine returned, Ethan drove the Ferrari to the airport to pick her up. She emerged from the VIP terminal looking as formidable as ever, tailored suit, dark sunglasses, and that commanding aura that seemed to part crowds without her even trying. Ethan stepped forward to meet her, taking her suitcase. Welcome back, Ms. Pierce. Hope you had a good trip. For once, his tone was genuinely respectful. She looked even more beautiful after a week away, but also tired. There were faint dark circles under her eyes. Those meetings in Europe must have been brutal, he thought. Man, being the boss is rough. Catherine, hearing the rare sincerity in his thoughts, felt a strange warmth spread through her chest. She removed her sunglasses and looked at him directly. Everything at the office was okay? She asked. Perfect. Everything's running smoothly, Ethan said with a beaming smile, except for the part where I turned your office into my personal man cave. Other than that, everything's great. So much for the warm feeling, it lasted all of 3 seconds. Back at Pinnacle Towers, Catherine stepped out of the elevator with Ethan trailing behind, carrying her luggage. Well, Ms. Pierce, I'll just... Before he could finish, the door to Catherine's apartment swung open. Isabella Rossi, dressed in pink bunny pajamas, emerged while rubbing her eyes sleepily. Cat, you're back, she murmured with a soft yawn. Then her gaze landed on Ethan standing behind Catherine. Their eyes met. The air froze. Ethan, Isabella, he blurted. Holy crap. A 10-alarm fire erupted in his brain. She's still here and she's wearing pajamas. Didn't Catherine tell her not to come? Oh God, I'm dead. I've stumbled onto the boss's biggest secret. She's going to have me killed. Isabella's sleepiness vanished instantly, replaced by sheer panic. She stared at the handsome stranger whose face clearly screamed, I know something I shouldn't. Who is this guy? She thought wildly. Kat mentioned a new assistant, but she brought him home? Catherine, the only one who looked calm, was fighting her own internal chaos. She could hear both of their thoughts at once. Ethan's mental channel. What do I do? What do I do? Is it too late to pretend I'm blind? Isabella's channel. Oh my God, has Kat's cold, dead heart finally started beating? Who is this guy? He's gorgeous. I have to vet him. Catherine's head started to pound. She took a deep breath and forced out 3 words through gritted teeth. Both of you. Inside. Now. Moments later, the 3 of them sat in the living room in a triangle of tension so thick you could slice it with a knife. Ethan stared at the floor, trying to shrink into himself. See no evil, hear no evil. I know nothing. I saw nothing. Oh man, Isabella Rossi looks amazing in pajamas. Those legs go on forever. Nope. Bad Ethan. She's the boss's friend. Be professional. Isabella, meanwhile, was openly studying both of them, her sharp eyes flicking back and forth. Something's definitely going on here. The way Kat looks at him, it's still cold, but there's something underneath. And him, Ethan. Super hot, great body, but kind of clueless. I need to investigate. Catherine sat in the middle of the storm, her head spinning. She was dealing with the awkward reality of the situation while simultaneously managing 2 overlapping mental broadcasts. She felt like an air traffic controller trying to keep 2 planes from colliding. She cleared her throat, breaking the silence. Ethan, this is Isabella Rossi, my friend. She turned to Isabella. And Isabella, this is Ethan Hayes, my assistant. A pleasure to meet you, Ms. Rossi, Ethan said quickly, bowing slightly. Big fan. A living goddess. She's even prettier in person. Nice to meet you, Ethan, Isabella replied sweetly, flashing a flawless, camera-ready smile. Friend, assistant? Yeah, right, she thought. No boss brings their male assistant home. And no friend lounges around someone else's place in pajamas. Something's going on here. Catherine gave up, pretending to relax. Isabella, didn't you have a photo shoot today? She asked, trying to change the subject. Oh, it got canceled last minute, Isabella said cheerfully. Good thing, too, because I'm starving. Kat, let's order some food. She pulled out her phone and slid closer to Ethan on the sofa. Ethan, what are you in the mood for? Let's order together. A cloud of expensive perfume surrounded him. Ethan's face flushed bright red. I'm good with whatever. Anything's fine, he stammered. Oh God, she's so close. I can see the tiny mole on her neck. Is this a test? It has to be a test. I work for Ms. Pierce. I must remain loyal. I will not be swayed by a beautiful movie star. Isabella caught his flustered look and almost laughed out loud. Ha, he's adorable. So easy to fluster. Time to have some fun. She leaned in even closer, her voice soft and sweet. This sushi place looks good. Do you like salmon, Ethan? Ethan's willpower was disintegrating. He was about to nod when Catherine's icy voice cut through the air. He's allergic to seafood. Ethan blinked. What, allergic? Isabella froze. How does Kat know that? How would she know that detail unless... Her eyes narrowed slightly, the realization dawning. Meanwhile, Catherine walked calmly to the fridge, retrieved a bottle of water, and took a sip, expressionless. Of course, she knew Ethan wasn't allergic. She just didn't like seeing him that close to another woman, even if that woman was her best friend. The realization startled her. Why am I being so possessive? Oh, I see, Isabella said, her tone teasing, her eyes gleaming with mischief. She scrolled to another restaurant on her phone. What about this hot pot place? Can you handle spicy food, Ethan? Before he could respond, Catherine spoke again, her tone casual. He has a sensitive stomach. He can't eat spicy food. Ethan blinked again. Sensitive stomach? Me? I once ate ghost pepper wings 3 days in a row and felt nothing. Isabella's smile faltered. She looked from Catherine to Ethan and back again. The air thickened with unspoken tension. Well, that's it, Ethan thought helplessly. My cover's blown. The Ice Queen is marking her territory. I thought she was just my boss, but she's totally into me. And I thought Isabella was just her friend, but she... Oh, God. Meanwhile, Isabella's mind raced. I get it now. Kat's jealous. I've known her for 20 years and I've never seen her like this. This guy, Ethan, he's her weakness. Realizing this, a sly, almost maternal smile curved her lips. She put her phone down, stood, and slipped her arm through Catherine's. Well, she said brightly, if Ethan can't eat this or that, I guess we'll have to call it a night. She gave him a playful wink. Thanks for all your help today, Ethan. It's getting late. You should probably head home. Kat and I have some girl talk to catch up on. And just like that, he was dismissed. Ethan found himself standing in the hallway as the heavy door clicked shut behind him. He stared blankly for a few seconds. Did I just get kicked out, used and tossed aside? He sighed. Capitalists. They have no heart. Grumbling to himself, he pulled out his phone and ordered an extra large, extra spicy hot pot for delivery with a side of salmon. Sashimi, oof, you can't tell me what to eat, Ethan muttered, grinning. I'm even going to post a picture of it on Instagram just to make them jealous. Inside the apartment, Isabella clung to Catherine, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Spill, now. What's going on between you and that assistant? The truth. The whole truth. And nothing but the truth. Catherine pried her off with a sigh. It's nothing. You're overthinking it. Overthinking it? Isabella shrieked. Catherine, my blind, you were acting like a mother hen protecting her chick. He wanted spicy food, and you practically forbade it. The last time I saw you care that much about someone's well-being was when your father was sick. Catherine stiffened. Don't be ridiculous, she said coldly. The shift in tone made Isabella instantly regret her words. She sat beside Catherine, taking her cold hand. Cat, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought up your dad, she said softly. But I'm honestly happy for you. After he passed, I haven't seen you look human. You turned into this robot, efficient, unshakable, all business. But just now, with Ethan, you were a mess. Catherine's heart tightened. A mess. Yes, that's what she had become. From the day she started hearing Ethan's thoughts, her perfectly ordered life had fallen apart. He was a rogue comet crashing through her carefully calibrated universe, trailing sarcasm, chaos, and light, knocking every planet out of orbit. And yet she didn't hate the chaos. It was warm. Cat! Isabella's voice broke through her thoughts. Are you falling for him? Catherine's heart leapt. Falling for Ethan? The thought was both strange and terrifying. Her life had always been about goals, plans, execution. Love wasn't a variable she ever accounted for. I don't know, she admitted quietly, looking lost. I just know he's special. He sees things no one else does. Business deals, rivalries, he just gets them instantly. But he's also an idiot who spends all day thinking about the most ridiculous things. She paused, staring down at her hands, remembering the warmth of his skin when she straightened his tie. I need him. His ability helps me do what I have to do. Isabella stayed quiet, listening. She knew Catherine well enough to realize that this need went deeper than business. So she asked gently, what if one day he lost that ability? Would you still need him? Catherine froze. The question hit like a key turning in a locked door. What if she could no longer hear his thoughts? He'd just be a normal, slightly goofy employee again. Would she still keep him close? Still pay him $150,000 a year? Still tell him she had his back? Her mind swirled. For the first time, she doubted herself, her feelings for Ethan, what they really meant. Across the hall, Ethan sat on the floor, devouring his spicy hot pot and scrolling through his phone. His Instagram post was already getting dozens of likes. He smiled in satisfaction until a notification appeared, a message from Catherine. What does she want now? I thought she was having girl talk. He opened it. Tomorrow you're coming with me somewhere. He frowned. Where, Catherine? A cemetery. Ethan's hand froze midair. A cemetery? Why? Tomorrow wasn't a holiday. Then a flash in his mind. The framed photo in her office, the girl with the bright smile, and Isabella's slip about Catherine's dad. The pieces clicked together. He set aside his sarcasm and, with unexpected seriousness, typed back 2 words. Okay. The next morning, gray clouds hung low. The black Rolls-Royce moved silently toward the edge of the city. Inside, the air felt heavy. Catherine, in a black trench coat, stared out the window. Her usual icy mask was gone, replaced by quiet sorrow. Ethan sat in the passenger seat, unusually silent. He could sense the difference in her. The fortress had lowered its drawbridge, and for the first time, he could glimpse the vulnerable soul inside. The car stopped at a secluded hillside cemetery, where the only sound was the wind whispering through the pines. Catherine stepped out holding a bouquet of white daisies. Ethan followed a few steps behind as she walked the stone path to a simple, elegant headstone. A black and white photo showed a kind-faced man with wire-rimmed glasses, her father, the former chairman of Solstice Group. Catherine placed the flowers gently at the base and stood there for a long time, eyes glistening, hair tousled by the wind. Ethan stayed back, giving her space.
He had never seen her look so fragile.
In his mind, she was always invincible, but now she was just a daughter mourning her father. So this is what she's been hiding, he thought. The company gossip said her dad had struggled with depression. She must have still been in college when he passed. To take over a corporation and fight off sharks like Harrison Vance, alone, it must have been hell. Looking at her slender back, Ethan felt something stir. He wanted to protect her, to walk over and hold her, to tell her she didn't have to be alone. But he couldn't. He was just her assistant. After a long silence, Catherine knelt, brushing a bit of dust off the headstone. "Dad," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I came to see you. The company's doing well. I've taken good care of it. The people who hurt us, I'm making them pay one by one. Victor Xiao is finished. Harrison Vance is next. Don't worry. I'll get justice for you soon." Her voice faltered. Her shoulders shook. A single tear slipped down her cheek and fell onto the cold marble. She was crying. The invincible Catherine Pierce was crying. Ethan's chest tightened. He couldn't take it anymore. He walked forward, took off his suit jacket, and draped it gently over her shoulders. Catherine's shoulders trembled. Ethan hesitated, then stepped closer and placed his jacket gently around her. She flinched, looking up at him with wide, tear-filled eyes, shock and helplessness softening her usual composure. "You'll catch a cold," he said quietly, his gaze fixed on the headstone. "Your dad would want you to take care of yourself." Catherine's lips parted, but no words came. She only bowed her head and pulled his jacket tighter around her. Ethan stayed beside her, a steady, silent presence shielding her from the cold wind. He didn't say another word, but to Catherine it was the warmest she had felt in years. On the drive back, she fell asleep in the back seat, completely drained. Ethan watched her through the rearview mirror. Her face was calm and unguarded. He thought of the smiling girl in the photograph on her desk, and suddenly he understood. The mountain that once sheltered her had crumbled, and she had been forced to become a mountain herself, a colder, harder one. He sighed softly. "You idiot," he thought. "From now on, I'll be your mountain." The car rolled on, the setting sun casting a golden glow across her sleeping face. For the first time in a long while, she looked at peace. After the visit to the cemetery, Catherine's body gave in. A high fever hit, followed by delirium. Panicked, Ethan rushed her to the hospital. The doctor said it was exhaustion, stress, and emotional strain. For the next 3 days, Ethan barely slept. He stayed by her side, changing her water, wiping her forehead, handling urgent company business from a laptop by her bed. It was grueling, but he never complained. Looking at the pale, fragile woman lying there, all he felt was an aching tenderness. She's such a stubborn fool, he thought. Acts like she's indestructible, but the moment she gets sick, she's just human, just like everyone else. In her fevered dreams, Catherine kept whispering one word over and over. "Dad. Dad, don't go." Each time, Ethan held her hand and murmured back, "It's okay. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." On the third afternoon, Catherine finally woke. The first thing she saw was Ethan's face close to hers, chin rough with stubble. He'd fallen asleep in the chair, head resting on the edge of her bed, still holding her hand. The sunlight poured across his face, catching on his lashes. He looked peaceful, dependable. Her heart skipped a beat. She tried to gently slip her hand free, but the movement stirred him. His eyes flew open, relief flooding his face. "You're awake! How do you feel? Do you need water?" "I'll get the doctor," he said, jumping up so quickly he almost tripped. "I'm fine," she whispered, her voice still weak. "Fine," he shot back, eyebrows raised. "You had a fever of 104. Then he bolted out of the room to find the doctor. Watching him go, Catherine felt something warm spread through her chest. It had been a very long time since anyone had taken care of her like that. The doctor confirmed she was recovering. One more day of observation and she could go home. While Ethan handled the discharge papers, Catherine lay staring out the window at the blue sky. Something felt different. Then it hit her, silence. She couldn't hear Ethan's thoughts anymore. The constant stream of his inner chatter, the annoying, hilarious, wonderful noise that had filled her days, was gone. Her world was quiet again. A heavy silence. Her heart sank. Was it the fever? Had the strange ability just vanished? She didn't know if she should feel relieved or devastated. Ethan returned with a container of soup. "Here," he said, setting it down carefully. "You need to eat something." She watched him as he worked, gentle and focused. In her mind, she tried to call his name, Ethan. Nothing. The silence pressed in. She felt a pang of loss so sharp it startled her. She realized she hadn't just grown used to hearing his thoughts, she had grown used to him. The color he brought to her gray world. The life, the warmth. Something wrong? Ethan asked, noticing her hesitation. You don't like it? Catherine looked up, meeting his worried eyes. She had to know. Without her ability, without the telepathic bond between them, would he still stay? Or would he take the severance he'd always fantasized about and walk away? Ethan, she began, her voice trembling slightly. When I get out of here, we need to talk. Ethan's heart dropped. Talk? Oh God, this is it. The reckoning. She found out I used her office as my personal arcade. No, wait, look at her face. She's serious. Is she going to confess her feelings? His mind was a storm of panic and wild hope, but Catherine couldn't hear it. All she saw was the flood of emotions shifting across his face. She gave a small, wistful smile. So be it, she thought. No more shortcuts. It's time to face things honestly. The next day, they left the hospital. Ethan drove, and Catherine sat in the passenger seat, watching the world glide by. He parked by the waterfront, and they walked slowly along the path, the sea breeze cool against their skin. Ethan, Catherine said, stopping to face him. Her tone was calm, but her eyes were serious. I have to tell you a secret. Ethan's pulse spiked. This is it, the big moment. She's going to say, I love you. What do I do? Play it cool, smile? Pretend I'm surprised? Catherine took a deep breath. A while ago, something happened to me. I could hear people's thoughts. Ethan blinked. What? His face froze. Mind reading? What is this, a sci-fi movie? Catherine saw his dumbfounded expression, but continued. So all those things you were thinking, all that nonsense, I heard it all. I heard you call me a corporate terminator. I heard you say my coffee tasted like sludge. I heard you fantasize about quitting and wasting your severance. And I heard, her cheeks colored slightly, that you thought I was trying to make a move on you. Ethan's brain imploded. Soul-crushing embarrassment washed over him. He wanted to vanish. He'd been mentally naked this whole time. His mouth opened and closed, but no sound came. He was done, fired, sued for $50 million, destined to die alone and jobless. Then Catherine's voice broke through his spiral. But after I got sick, the ability disappeared. I can't hear you anymore. She looked at him with something fragile and hopeful in her eyes. So, Ethan, tell me yourself, out loud. What are you really thinking? Ethan stared at her, speechless. The Ice Queen was gone. Before him stood a woman, vulnerable, open, real. All his jokes, sarcasm, and defenses fell away, leaving just the truth. He stepped closer, eyes locked on hers. What am I really thinking? He said, his voice low but steady. I'm thinking you were right about everything. I was waiting for you to make a move on me. He smiled, that same bright, reckless grin from the photograph. So, are you still going to give me a chance? Catherine stared at him, stunned. Then slowly, she smiled. A real, radiant smile that felt like sunlight breaking through winter clouds. She didn't answer. She just squeezed his hand. A gentle breeze stirred between them, and for a brief moment, Ethan could have sworn he heard a cool, familiar voice in his head, soft, amused, and unmistakably hers. I hear you loud and clear,